Howdy-do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back out in my garden again, and the birds seem to be joining in. Hope you don't mind. That strange noise back over there somewhere is a golden oriole. We have a family of them in the garden. Right, I've changed my script for this week's blog and video, and this week's talk will be, well, quite short. But it does contain some very interesting news which may have passed you by. President Macron's overture to the BRICS is interesting, but I can't see those nations wanting him around while he's still a supporter of NATO. If it at least allows some sort of dialogue to be exchanged, that would be a start, but I have to admit that it certainly is a long shot. But to cut to a totally different story. Those of you who have been following me over the years, and I'm amazed at just how many of you have been with me for a couple of decades and more, will probably remember me briefly running a magazine called The Big Pension, where towards the end of that magazine's lifetime, that bird is insistent on getting in on the act, isn't he? Towards the end of that magazine's lifetime, I suggested that the ideal answer to all your pension requirements was an investment in Bitcoin. At the time I made that suggestion, which was way back in 2015, Bitcoin was trading at $282. In other words, you could have bought 4 Bitcoin for £1,000. I later decided to stop producing the magazine because I said that each following issue would only contain one recommendation. No prizes for guessing what that would be. Buy Bitcoin. At the time, I said that Bitcoin had raced up to $800. I hassled everyone I knew to buy. As far as I knew, only my daughter did so and bought less than I suggested. Let me remind you of the maths. If in 2015 you had taken my advice and only put a modest £5,000 into Bitcoin at the then price, you would now be sitting on 20 Bitcoin. And that is now worth, at the time of writing, £544,000. Not a bad return. I would have thought that would do for all your pension needs. You could even borrow against that and stake your Bitcoin. That would get you a very comfortable income from the staked amount while still holding the Bitcoin itself to gain further increases in the price and further staking possibilities. I even suggested I put £5,000 into Bitcoin back in 2017 for my second sort of daughter to pay for her £180,000 mortgage, which was due to be paid off in 10 years' time. Strangely, she turned down the offer. That £5,000 would then have only bought 1 1/4 Bitcoin, but that would now have a valuation of £34,000. Okay, so what's the current situation with regard to these new entities? Last week, BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, and they have 10 trillion, that's trillion with a T, not a B, $10 trillion under management. They filed an application for a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, or ETF. Hot on its heels, global investment firms Invesco and WisdomTree also filed separately for their own Bitcoin ETFs. Interesting. This means that Bitcoin has effectively now gone mainstream. and its price is likely to suffer fewer mega pullbacks, and since it is now possible for anyone to put pension funds into the crypto, it is bound to start a steady rise from here. It will also mean the whole crypto market will gradually become mainstream too. So, if you missed my first announcement, or even the second, and don't have that nice little nest egg, here's your third chance. You won't make anywhere near the percentage gains that I made, but your gains will still be pretty impressive. I'm not sure there's much more for me to say this week, but it certainly makes a change to be able to pass on some good news. Thank you for watching and listening and enjoying the bird song. Let's hope that next week we have some more good news. Until then, have a good week.